Did you know that more than 250 million people around the world are living with some form of vision loss? And a large part of that damage begins silently in the retina. The retina is the thin layer at the back of your eye that allows you to see colors, details, and motion. Without it, the world fades into shadows. The surprising truth is that as we age, the retina weakens much faster than most people realize, often decades before severe symptoms appear. This is not just an issue for the elderly. Even adults in their 40s and 50s are quietly losing retinal strength without noticing the early signs. Imagine this. It's the late 1970s, a time when offices were ruled by men in suits, women were underpaid, and the idea of speaking up against unfair treatment was seen as risky. And then, almost out of nowhere, comes a story that flips the script. A story that dares to show what happens when ordinary working women take back their power. That story became a film, and its heartbeat was carried by one unforgettable voice. This wasn't just another Hollywood production, it was a cultural earthquake. It gave people permission to laugh, to dream, and to question the very system they lived in. And at the center of it all stood a newcomer to the movie world, a singer stepping onto a film set for the very first time. She didn't just act. She brought a song that captured the struggles and hopes of millions. A song that would become an anthem echoing across offices, radios, and households everywhere. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Behind the cameras, behind the laughter, behind the catchy beat of that song, there was a working environment unlike any other. What was it really like to collaborate with someone so magnetic, so full of life, yet so disciplined and sharp? Stay with me until the end of this video, because we're not just revisiting a film, we're peeling back the curtain on an experience that transformed a set into history and showed the world that art can spark change in ways no one expected. When she first walked onto the set, people weren't quite sure what to expect. She was already a huge name in country music, but stepping into a Hollywood film was something entirely different. Many assumed she would be out of her comfort zone, nervous or unsure of how things worked in a movie production. But what they saw was the opposite. She carried herself with confidence, yet never with arrogance. She smiled easily, greeted everyone she met, and immediately broke through any barriers with her sense of humor. From the very beginning, she gave off an energy that told everyone she wasn't just there to play a role, she was there to be part of a team. Those first impressions mattered. People remember how she made the set feel lighter just by being present. There was no distance between her and the cast or crew. She talked to everyone, laughed with everyone, and showed genuine interest in the people around her. Her warmth wasn't an act for the cameras, it was who she truly was. When she told stories or cracked a quick joke, even the most stressful day of filming suddenly felt easier. This was the kind of energy that pulled people together, creating a sense of unity on a set that could have easily been weighed down by the pressure of making a big studio film. But behind that humor and charm was something just as powerful: her discipline. She arrived on time, ready to work and fully prepared. Even though she was stepping into acting for the first time, she approached it with the same dedication she gave to her music career. She studied, she practiced, and she took direction with grace. When the cameras rolled, she gave everything she had. That balance between fun and focus made her stand out. She could be laughing with the crew one moment and fully locked into character the next. It showed a side of her that many had underestimated. Her work ethic also surprised people. Some thought that because she was new to films, she might not understand the grind of long shooting days. But she proved them wrong. She stayed patient during endless takes, kept her energy up through long hours, and never once acted as if the work was beneath her. She respected the process and respected the people guiding her through it. Directors, camera operators, costume designers. She treated them all with the same kindness and professionalism. That attitude created a ripple effect. Others matched her pace, and the set became a place where hard work didn't feel like a burden but a shared mission. What made her even more remarkable was how she mixed her professionalism with joy. It's rare to see someone who can make people laugh without losing focus, but she managed it. She knew when to ease the tension and when to get serious. That balance created an atmosphere that was both productive and uplifting. The crew felt valued, the co-stars felt supported, and everyone sensed that something special was happening. She also carried herself with humility. Despite being a star in another industry, she never acted above anyone else. She was willing to learn, to listen, and to adapt. That humility made people respect her even more because they saw she wasn't there to dominate. She was there to contribute. It's one thing to be talented, but it's another to combine that talent with genuine humility and respect. That combination left a lasting impression on everyone who worked beside her. In the end, her arrival on set wasn't just the entrance of a country singer trying out acting. It was the arrival of a force of personality, kindness, and professionalism that no one could ignore. She showed that humor and hard work could live side by side, and that being new to something doesn't mean being unprepared. She gave more than what people expected, and in doing so, she set a tone that lifted the entire production. From the very beginning, one of the most striking things about her presence was the energy she carried with her. It wasn't the kind of energy that demanded attention or filled the room with noise. It was lighter, warmer, and more genuine. Wherever she went, laughter seemed to follow. She had a way of noticing when the atmosphere grew tense or when the long hours of filming started to wear people down. In those moments, she could slip in a story, a playful joke, or a quick one-liner that instantly broke the heaviness. People found themselves smiling, not because they felt obligated, but because she had this natural ability to make others feel at ease. The set of any major film can become overwhelming. There are deadlines, scripts to memorize, scenes to perfect, and endless adjustments to lighting and sound. That stress can weigh on even the most experienced actors. But her personality made the workplace feel lighter. She carried a sense of fun into the environment without ever losing her professionalism. It was like she reminded everyone that while the work was serious, it didn't have to crush their spirits. This balance was rare, and it created a ripple of calm and joy that touched every corner of the production. Crew members, extras, and seasoned actors all felt it. She made the set feel less like a machine and more like a community. Her positive energy wasn't just about cracking jokes or lifting moods. It came from a deeper place of kindness and generosity. She paid attention to people. She remembered names, noticed small details, and treated every individual as though they mattered. When someone felt unseen, she had a way of pulling them back into the circle. That approach built trust. People knew they could count on her not just for a laugh, but for genuine support. That trust transformed the dynamic of the set. It wasn't simply a workplace. It became a space where people wanted to give their best because they felt respected and valued. Her co-stars, Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, noticed this immediately. They were already established in the film industry, yet they never felt that she was trying to compete or steal the spotlight. Instead, she was a team player. She celebrated their strengths, admired their talents, and gave them space to shine. Rather than trying to dominate, she leaned into collaboration. When one of them delivered a powerful performance, she applauded it. When the scene required a natural flow between the three of them, she gave her all to ensure that chemistry was real and believable. This spirit of support strengthened not only the film, but also the bond between the actors. There was no diva behavior, no airs of superiority, despite the fact that she was already a superstar in her own right. She could have demanded special treatment, but she didn't. She arrived on set ready to work just like everyone else. She stood in line for makeup, rehearsed with patience, and accepted feedback with grace. That humility made others respect her even more. In an industry where egos can often clash, her attitude was refreshing. She didn't need to remind anyone of her fame. Her actions spoke louder than any reputation. This approach created harmony among the cast. Fonda and Tomlin have often spoken about how supportive she was, how her openness and humor made the long days enjoyable. Instead of rivalry, there was laughter. Instead of tension, there was mutual encouragement. That atmosphere didn't just make the filming experience smoother, it translated onto the screen. Viewers could feel the authenticity in their interactions because it was real. What they saw in the movie wasn't just acting, it was the product of genuine friendship and teamwork that had blossomed behind the scenes. Her positive energy also extended beyond her closest co-stars. She was just as generous with the crew, the assistants, and the people who often go unnoticed in the background. She thanked them, acknowledged their hard work, and included them in the laughter. It wasn't unusual for her to pause and make sure even the quietest crew member felt included in the day's joy. That consistency revealed that her lightheartedness wasn't selective. It was for everyone. The result of all this was a set that thrived not just on talent, but on unity. She brought laughter when it was needed most, created bonds that lasted long after the cameras stopped rolling, and reminded everyone that greatness is built when people work together, not when one person stands above the rest. Her ability to be both joyful and supportive shaped the entire experience and left a mark on everyone lucky enough to share that space with her. There was something about her presence on set that went beyond just showing up to act. Creativity seemed to flow out of her in ways that surprised even the most seasoned professionals. She didn't just read her lines and perform, she absorbed the atmosphere, noticed the little things, and allowed her imagination to shape how she approached the work. Ideas came to her naturally, sometimes in the middle of conversations, sometimes in quiet moments between takes. People around her could see that she wasn't only an entertainer, she was a creator who could take ordinary moments and turn them into something memorable. One of the clearest examples of this spark was the theme song that eventually became the heartbeat of the film. She didn't sit down with a long plan or overthink it. Instead, she drew inspiration from what she was living day to day, sitting on set, noticing the rhythms of working life, the frustrations, the humor, the shared struggles. She transformed all of it into lyrics and melody. The famous 9 to 5 theme wasn't crafted in some distant studio months later. It was born right there in the middle of the filming process, like it had been waiting inside her all along. That kind of creativity can't be forced. It's something authentic, rooted in real experience. When the cast and crew first heard it, they knew instantly that it wasn't just a good song, it was something timeless. Her creativity wasn't limited to music. She offered little ideas about how lines could be delivered, how emotions could be expressed, or how a scene could feel more natural. She never pushed herself into the spotlight with these suggestions, but when she did share them, they often made the moment richer. People admired how she managed to combine her artistic instincts with respect for the process. She didn't try to take over, but her natural spark lifted the production in ways no one could ignore. Part of what made her creativity shine was the respect she gave to everyone around her. She knew that making a film wasn't just about the actors in front of the camera. It was about the crew adjusting lights for hours, the sound team perfecting every detail, the makeup artist working before dawn, and the assistants running errands no one else wanted to do. She never overlooked these people. Instead, she made them feel seen. She had a gift for remembering names, and not just the names of the big players, but the quieter ones in the background. She would ask about their families, recall small details from earlier conversations, and make them feel that their contributions mattered. This wasn't an act. Those who worked with her often said she had a way of making you feel like the only person in the room when she spoke to you. That kind of presence is rare in an industry where egos often tower above humility. Her approach stood out. Producers respected her not only for her talent, but for her kindness. Crew members admired her because she noticed them when others didn't. She carried the same energy with everyone, whether it was the director calling the shots or the assistant bringing coffee. Her kindness created a ripple that changed the mood of the entire production. When people feel valued, they give more of themselves. The crew worked harder not because they had to, but because they wanted to rise to the same level of respect and care she gave them. That cycle of generosity and dedication became part of the film's invisible foundation. The combination of her creative spark and her deep respect for people was what made the experience unforgettable. She could dream up an anthem that would outlive the movie itself while at the same time remembering the name of the grip holding the boom mic. That blend of artistry and humanity was her true gift. It wasn't just about talent and it wasn't just about kindness. It was about bringing the two together in a way that lifted everyone around her and left a legacy that no one who worked with her could ever forget. Text flow naturally when you think about how she entered a world where first impressions often determined how people treated you. She had the big blonde hair, the glamorous outfits, and the southern accent that many in Hollywood dismissed as a sign of simplicity. People underestimated her before she even opened her mouth. They assumed she was just a country singer trying her luck in movies, someone who might bring charm but not much depth. What they didn't realize was that behind the sparkle was a mind that was sharp, observant, and endlessly witty. She understood the stereotypes people attached to her. Instead of running from them, she leaned into them with confidence, knowing she would eventually prove them wrong. It didn't take long. Once she began working, her intelligence shone through. She picked up the craft of acting quickly, asked thoughtful questions, and delivered performances that were far from shallow. Every time she cracked a joke, it wasn't just funny, it was smart. Every time she contributed an idea, it added value. Those who doubted her soon found themselves rethinking their assumptions. She wasn't someone you could box in. She was bigger, brighter, and far more complex than any stereotype suggested. Her wit became one of her strongest tools on set. In an industry where long hours and countless takes could drain even the most seasoned professionals, she had a way of lightening the mood with perfect timing. Her humor was quick, playful, and often self-deprecating. She laughed at herself as easily as she laughed with others, which made people relax around her. No one felt judged or intimidated in her presence. Instead, they felt invited to laugh, to let go of tension, and to remember that they were creating something meaningful together. Those who worked alongside her often talk about the memorable moments she created. There were the days when exhaustion hung heavy in the air, and suddenly she'd tell a story so outrageous everyone would be in tears from laughing. There were the small pranks, the playful remarks, and the quick improvisations that turned an ordinary day into something unforgettable. These weren't just throwaway moments. They built camaraderie, made the cast and crew feel like family, and created bonds that lasted far beyond the movie itself. The stories about her humor aren't just entertaining. They reveal something deeper about her character. She knew that joy was a powerful form of leadership. By keeping spirits high, she wasn't only making the set more enjoyable, she was making the work itself better. People perform differently when they feel uplifted. Scenes flow more naturally, creativity comes easier, and collaboration feels smoother. Her ability to spark laughter wasn't separate from her professionalism. It was part of it. What stood out most was how she managed to balance these two sides of herself. On one hand, she was constantly breaking stereotypes, proving that her intelligence and talent couldn't be ignored. On the other hand, she never lost her sense of humor or the ability to laugh at the world. She didn't see wit and wisdom as opposites. She wove them together seamlessly. That combination made her unforgettable. Cast and crew alike walked away with stories they carried for years, not just about the film itself, but about the woman who made it special. They remembered the moments of laughter in between the hard work. They remembered how she surprised them with her quick mind when they had expected only surface-level charm. They remembered how the days felt lighter, how the long hours didn't seem so long, and how the energy on set was transformed by her presence. She turned stereotypes upside down and replaced them with a new truth, that brilliance doesn't always look the way people expect it to. And she made sure that while proving her talent, no one ever forgot to laugh along the way. Text flowed naturally when you look at how her presence shaped not only the atmosphere of the set, but also the very fabric of the story being told. The film was about working women, about their struggles, frustrations, and resilience in a world that often ignored them. Having her as part of that cast added a layer of authenticity that could not have been scripted. She came from humble beginnings, understood hard work, and carried the spirit of ordinary women who had to fight for respect. That truth showed in every line she delivered, in every expression, and in the way she connected with the role. She didn't just play a character, she embodied the story in a way that audiences immediately believed. Her natural charm became one of the film's greatest strengths. It softened the sharp edges of the plot while still highlighting the seriousness of the message. Viewers felt drawn to her because she was relatable, genuine, and full of heart. That balance allowed the film to entertain, while also making a powerful statement about gender inequality in the workplace. Without her warmth and humor, the movie might have leaned too heavy on its political message. With her, it struck the perfect balance, funny, heartfelt, and inspiring. This balance is part of the reason the film became iconic. Decades later, people still talk about it, not only for its message, but for the way it made them feel. Her presence was central to that. She gave the film its soul, and her theme song gave it a heartbeat that continued to resonate long after audiences left the theater. Together, those contributions elevated the film from being just another comedy into a cultural milestone. Behind the scenes, something equally meaningful was happening. While the cameras captured performances, friendships were quietly forming that would stand the test of time. Working alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, she created a bond that went far beyond the set. There was no sense of rivalry, no competition for attention. Instead, there was mutual respect and admiration. They laughed together, supported one another, and grew into a trio that symbolized not only the story of the movie, but also the unity of women in real life. Those friendships became one of the most treasured parts of the experience. Cast members often recall how genuine the connection was, how the laughter during breaks wasn't scripted, and how the warmth audiences felt on screen came directly from the bonds being built when the cameras weren't rolling. That authenticity made their chemistry unshakable. The audience could feel the trust and affection in every scene because it wasn't being performed, it was real. The friendship lasted long after the film was finished. The three women continued to appear together, speak fondly of one another, and celebrate the impact they created. Their bond became almost symbolic of what the film itself represented. Women standing together, supporting one another, and finding strength in unity. For many fans, seeing that connection endure over time made the story of the film even more powerful. It wasn't just fiction, it was a reflection of life itself. Her role in forming and nurturing those relationships showed another side of her character. She wasn't there just to shine as an individual star. She valued collaboration, she valued people, and she cherished the friendships that came with working closely toward a shared goal. That mindset shaped not only the making of the film, but also its lasting legacy. When people look back at this movie, They see more than just a classic comedy. They see a story that captured the reality of working women, amplified by her charm and authenticity. They see a film that became iconic because it carried both a message and a soul. And they see friendships that remind us of the power of connection, a reminder that what happens behind the scenes can sometimes be just as important as what the audience sees on the screen. Texts flow naturally when you reflect on how the experience of working with her went far beyond the boundaries of a film set. For those who shared that time with her, it wasn't just about memorizing lines, hitting marks, or completing a project. It was about being in the presence of someone who radiated qualities that left a lasting mark on people's lives. The movie became a cultural milestone, but what stayed in the hearts of the cast and crew was the memory of her kindness, her talent, and her undeniable strength. She embodied a rare combination of qualities that made people feel both uplifted and inspired. Kindness was at the center of it all. She treated every person with respect, whether they were adjusting the lights or directing the film. No one was too small to be acknowledged. She remembered names, asked about people's families, and created a sense of belonging that made others feel valued. That simple but powerful kindness turned the set into a community rather than just a workplace. For many, it was a reminder that greatness isn't measured only in talent or fame, but in how you make others feel. Her talent, of course, could not be ignored. She walked into her first film role with the weight of expectation, and she exceeded it. She delivered her lines with honesty, carried her character with authenticity, and elevated the story with her presence. Beyond the acting, she gave the film its anthem. The song she wrote didn't just complement the story, it amplified it, turning the film into something unforgettable. People realized then that her artistry knew no boundaries. She wasn't confined to one field. She was a creator who could shape culture through both screen and sound. What made her truly remarkable, though, was her strength. In an industry where stereotypes were quick to define people, she stood firm in who she was. She didn't hide her accent, her roots, or her style. Instead, she used them as part of her power. She proved that you could be glamorous and intelligent, funny and hardworking, humble and commanding, all at the same time. That strength inspired those around her, not through speeches or declarations, but through example. She lived it, and others learned from it. For the people who worked with her, the legacy of the experience was deeply personal. They didn't just remember a movie, they remembered how they felt while making it. They remembered the laughter between takes, the respect that flowed through every interaction, and the energy she brought that turned long days into meaningful ones. Many of them carried those lessons into their own careers and lives. It showed them that it was possible to be successful without sacrificing humility, to be talented without overshadowing others, and to be strong without losing kindness. Her impact stretched beyond the film set into the larger culture. The movie became a symbol of working women's struggles and resilience, and her contributions helped shape that message into something powerful and lasting. Audiences saw her as more than a performer. They saw her as someone who embodied the very values the story was trying to tell. That connection gave the film its enduring legacy, but it also gave her a deeper place in people's hearts. Working with her was more than professional collaboration. It was an experience that reminded everyone involved of what matters most in creative work: respect, joy, and authenticity. Her legacy wasn't just the success of the film or the timelessness of the song, but the way she touched lives through who she was. Long after the cameras stopped rolling, people continued to talk about her presence, her laughter, her kindness, and the strength that defined her. That is what made the experience unforgettable, and that is the legacy she left behind. Conclusion. Working with Dolly Parton wasn't just another project for those involved. It was an experience that left a mark on everyone. Her warmth, Humor and unstoppable work ethic created an environment where people not only felt valued but also inspired. The way she balanced professionalism with kindness showed that success doesn't require arrogance, but rather respect and humanity. Dolly's presence made 9 to 5 more than just a film. It became a cultural moment that continues to resonate. And even today, decades later, the themes of 9 to 5 still matter. The struggles, the humor, and the message about working women remain as relevant as ever. Dolly helped give that story authenticity and a soul that still speaks to audiences. Her legacy reminds us why this film endures. It wasn't only about entertainment, but about truth, resilience, and the power of unity. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories.